Hello everyone, this is Asim, and I truly believe this video is going to connect with many of you. Let me tell you why. Today I want to talk about a problem that a lot of you are probably dealing with right now. Somewhere deep in your mind, in your heart, you may feel that you can never become fluent in English. Maybe you have the reasons A, B, C, D, or more that makes you believe this. You might think that others can become good at English, but somehow you cannot. You feel fluency is not meant for you, but let me be very clear. That belief is not always true. It's even something you should say to yourself. Let me explain this through a small story, and I want you to try seeing it from the perspective of a child. First of all, I was not always good at English. Some of you might feel that you are still not good at it, and that's completely okay. I come from a simple middle class Sindhi speaking family where English was not commonly spoken. Of course, today my friends can speak English well, but that's because we eventually studied in an English medium school. Like many of you, I also went to an English medium school, but only from ninth class. And honestly, that school was not very good. My friends, however, were studying in one of the best schools, a brilliant school with strict discipline and English speaking culture. Now, here is something important when you want to learn a language. The best thing you can do is place yourself in an environment where that language is used regularly. Unfortunately, I didn't have that environment at first. In my school, nobody really spoke English, not even the teachers. And there is nothing wrong with that. But when you are in an English medium school, there is usually an expectation that English will be used. Okay. Because of this, I wasn't actually learning the language. Let's accept one thing honestly. English has become very important today. It is a global language used almost everywhere. Then suddenly I got admission into the same school as my friends. It was a moment of happiness for all of us, including me. But imagine this. Yesterday I was in a school where English was rarely spoken, and today I was interned in a school where English was only language allowed to the teachers, to the students, to the staff. Everyone spoke only English. For me, it felt a nightmare. I cannot even describe how scared I was. I was in ninth class, and even today I consider myself a shy person. You might not believe that because I speak in the videos, but honestly I am not someone who enjoys talking a lot in general. Now imagine a shy student entering a new school mid-session where everybody is fluent in English while he struggles badly. I was terrible at English back then, and there wasn't even a single moment when you could switch to another language because English was only option. The pressure was intense. I could actually feel the burden on my shoulders. I cried many times during that year. Going to school didn't feel safe. I constantly feared being judged or laughed at. And yes, people did laugh at me. I was mocked quite often. Sometimes children can be very harsh. They can be unintentionally cruel. And in my case, it was in old boys school with some very mean classmates. I still remember certain incidents, though I won't go in detail. But I learned that people can sometimes be unkind for no real reason. If someone is not good at language, it is usually because of their background. That's never something to make fun of. Because in future, that person might become better than you. Anyways, that's how things started. In ninth class, I somehow managed. By 10th class, I began to improve. Within a year, I could see clear progress. In class 9, I started gaining confidence. By class 10, I would say I was good at English. And by class 11 and 12, I had become a strong student overall. At that point, I also became more serious about my studies because I realized that if I wanted to achieve something in life, I needed to work hard. So it was a journey from class 9 to class 12, and it wasn't easy. It was painful at the times. There were moments of the embarrassment. Students laughed and even some teachers were not very kind. I heard negative comments about myself, and experiences like these can really affect you as a child. You are not used to such treatment because at home your parents protect you. Suddenly, facing a tough environment can feel overwhelming. But I quietly endured everything. I stayed patient and let time pass because I believed things would eventually change. I had a strong mindset even at a young age. I observed people around me, especially those who spoke English well. I paid attention to their word choices, their speaking style, and their confidence. One thing I noticed was that all fluent speakers spoke slowly and clearly. They gave space between their words. That's something I consciously tried to adopt. Now let's move to something more important. Yes, there was humiliation and sense of inferiority in the beginning. But later things improved, and that's exactly how it works for everyone, not for me, for everyone. Think about it. How can something you are actively working on never change? That's simply not possible. I strongly believe that when you put in effort in the right direction, it always brings the results. Slowly, my inferiority turned into confidence. Even today, I make mistakes. That's completely fine. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes. You learn from them, move forward, and next time you try to avoid repeating them. Though you might make new mistakes, that's also part of the process. One of the biggest positive changes fluency brought into my life is a confidence. I now feel comfortable expressing myself. I know I can communicate my thoughts. So, the main message is this: you can do it too. If you are not doing it, it's often a matter of your choice. Whether you act or don't act, both are choices you make. And these choices are not big, these are small decisions you make every single day. Each time you stop yourself from speaking because of fear or hesitation, you are holding yourself back. And that's where you go wrong. You need to show up for yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, just go ahead and make them again. One last thing I want to share is this. I think I was able to learn English because I was forced in a situation where I had no other option. If I wanted to survive in that school, I had to learn the language. There was no alternative. Of course, I struggled and failed many times. That's natural. When you learn something new, you will fail, you make mistakes. That's a part of growth. Looking back now, what felt like a nightmare back then turned me out to be one of the biggest blessings in my life. So sometimes the difficult situations you are facing right now might be actually opportunities in disguise. I would suggest that you push yourself into the situations. Put yourself where you are challenged, where you are slightly uncomfortable. At first, it will feel difficult, but with the time, that discomfort will decrease and eventually you might even start enjoying it. Today, I actually enjoy speaking in English. Of course, I don't speak it all day because it can be tiring and my native language still feels more natural. But compared to before, I have improved a lot. That's all for today's video. Let me know in comments if you are going through a similar struggle. Share your experiences because others might read it and feel encouraged. I will see you again. Take care of yourself. Thank you.